Hi everybody, my name is Burcu. I'm Technician Commitment Manager at Sanger Institute. And I would like to welcome you to our first virtual RIT group meeting. We are very excited to host you all. And I can see that we are not only limited to 6 institutes, but we have external guests as well. Welcome, I would like to welcome you all. And I would like to say a few words as a host of the meeting before we start with our program. As I said, please mute your microphones. Make sure that you ticked the recording note because we had several requests to record this meeting and publish it later. And I would like to remind you that we have a chat option which will be open. We will try to answer your questions, but we encourage you also bring your questions and comments to our breakout rooms, which will be discussed in a second. As I mentioned, this meeting is not limited to only 6 institutes. We would like to open it to wider audience, and I can see several names now which are joining from external organizations. And we have also invited Kelly Weir, a program director of Technician Commitment, and I presume she will join us today as well. So I'm quite happy to host this whole event on everybody's behalf. So now I will leave the word to Claire and enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Burcu. Just check. Okay, so I'm Claire Stevenson and I'm lead for Technician Commitment at the John Innes Centre, and I'm going to give you a brief introduction to the Research Institute Technician Group. So the overview of the day of the meeting is going to be an introduction from me to the group, and then we're going to have an update from each of our Technician Commitment leads from each of the 6 institutes. That will take us on to the opportunity for you to interact with us, and we're going to have some Zoom breakout rooms, and there'll be a facilitator in each room helping this process for you to feedback, and then we'll have half an hour for general discussion at the end. So as Burcu said, welcome you to put any questions in the chat, but you might want to save them as well for the breakout room and the feedback at the end. Okay, so who are we? So I'm Claire and I lead the Technician Commitment for the John Innes Centre, but I have a full-time job as a platform manager and working as a senior scientist on a crystallography platform. We have Celia Dominguez from the Institute of Cancer Research. She's a researcher and she leads on the development, researcher development coordinator. We have Danielle Hoyle from the Babraham Institute, who is head of operations there. We have Liz Bentley, Advanced Scientific Training Centre Manager from the MRC Harwell Institute, which is representing all the MRC sites. We have David Hudson from the Crick, and he's training lead there. And finally, last but not least, you've heard from Burcu from the Wellcome Institute. So all of us are leads involved in leading the Technician Commitment at our institutes, and we're part of this Research Institute Technician Group. But Burcu is the only person who has a full-time position committed to the Technician Commitment at SANA. So hopefully you've all heard what the Technician Commitment is. It was created in 2017. And it's a University and Research Institute-led initiative, and it has a steering board of sector bodies and has support from the Science Council and the Technicians Make It Happen campaign. And this is the link at the bottom to the website. There's now nearly 100 universities and institutes that have become signatories of this Technician Commitment. And relatively recently, funders like UKRI and the Wellcome Trust have joined, which is really good. So there's 4 main pillars of Technician Commitment, and that is to increase the visibility, the recognition, work on the career development and sustainability of technical roles at the people that have signed the commitment. And this is underpinned by the fact that the impact of this is evaluated. So how it works, when people sign the Technician Commitment, they have the first year to think about their technical community and how it's working, and then they have to create a 24-month action plan. After 2 years, they have to feed back on this action plan and assess how they're meeting the actions that they've said. And what works particularly well is that the action plans are publicly available, so you can see the action plan of anybody that's signed a technician commitment, and they have to be signed off by their director of the institute or university, which shows a real top-down support for it. After 2 years, the first initial signatories are now approaching the next phase, where they write a 3-year action plan and report on what they've achieved, what impact has been achieved from the 2-year action plan. So you can see every institute develops their own actions to progress and work on these areas. It's really important that technicians are involved in developing this action plan. So what is our mission as part of the Research Institute Technician Group? Well, we decided to combine, as institutes that had all signed the technician commitment, to work on, to share our strengths and support the careers of our technicians at the Research Institutes. So some of the things we're working on, we're trying to improve our role visibly, internally, but also externally. We're hoping to provide external networking opportunities, and I'll say a little bit about how we've done that. We're providing opportunities to share best practice outside the institute. So it's really great to hear about other initiatives at other institutes and then how these can be put into our own institutes. We're promoting awareness of career structures in other institutes, and we're looking at the work being developed of the technical roles at all the other institutes. So by combining forces together, we're stronger. So very briefly, as this is a brief introduction, I just want to highlight a few of the things that we've been doing in this group. So we've been formed for about 3 years actually, and the committee now meets monthly. We have an agenda, we have minutes, and we have a Trello board where we keep a log of all the work that we've been doing so we can show the impact of it. We've attended the technician commitment signatory meetings where all the signatories attend, and we've been invited to give 2 presentations at that last year and the year before on the work of our group. Recently, we gave a presentation at the VTI 2020 Researcher Concordat conference, which was great because we could highlight the works of the roles of technicians at institutes at this conference. We have an active Twitter group, so if you're not following us, please do. It's @Technician Group. And we also have a LinkedIn group with about 100 members. The hope was that the LinkedIn group it was started after the networking conference we had, as people wanted a forum to be able to share ideas. So this is a place you could share jobs, you could share things that are happening and ideas and have some discussion. There's a little bit that happens, but we're still trying to increase the impact of this. And last but not least, last year in November, we had our first Research Institute Technician Symposium, and we had technicians attending from each of our 6 institutes, and we held it at the Francis Crick Institute in London. It was a really successful event. We had some great keynote speakers that talked about their careers, but we also had a technician from each institute selected to speak at this event, and it was a great opportunity for the people selected to do this. There was lots of networking opportunities, and we had really great feedback for this conference, so we hope to do that again in the future. There obviously are challenges, so challenges like we all have. So with time, like I said at the start, Berger is the only person employed in this role. The rest of us kind of do it in our spare time because it's our passion. Engagement is difficult, so that's part of the reason that we're hosting this event, to try and engage with everybody, to try and get your ideas for what you would like out of this group. We were lucky to obtain funding from Gatsby and a variety of sources for our RITG Symposium, but we would like to obtain more funding to be able to offer more opportunities outside for networking. And obviously COVID-19 has been a challenge for all of us, which is why we're doing this virtually. So that's my introduction. So now we're going to move on to a very brief presentation from each of the leads for each of the institutes. So I'll kick us off with the John Innes Centre. So I lead for the technician commitment there. I do it as a very small percentage of my role. So I'll give an update to the John Innes Centre. So at the John Innes Centre, we have 4 main job categories. So we have our PhD students, our postdoctoral workers, our group leaders, and then everybody else falls into the research and support staff category, which is our technical workforce. So at the Journalist Centre, we have roughly about 200 people in this job category, and the pie chart below shows the different roles that are in this category. So the take-home message is there's a large number of different roles. The greatest percentage, 40% of these roles, are the research assistants, and these are the people that provide one-to-one support to the group leaders' research. So they tend to work in the lab, providing continuity to projects, and they're often very highly skilled scientists. We have lots of other roles like project administrators, platform scientists, media technicians, a whole range of different categories within this. We have a research and support staff voice that was formed actually several years ago before technician commitment, and that's led by Gary Wortley. That is a voice which all technicians can feed into. And it has real clear, it has attendance on committees and real clear path to management. In addition, we have the Technician Commitment Steering Group, which I lead, and Gary, from the chair of the Research and Support Staff Voice, sits on that along with another technician. But in addition on this, we have group leader representation, human resources representation, and comms, which is important for getting the message outside. So hopefully we should have good two-way communication. So Journalist Centre was one of the founding signatories of the Technician Commitment in 2017, and we're at the point of producing our assessment for our 2-year action plan, and we're starting to develop our 3-year action plan, looking at the visibility, recognition, career development, and sustainability of our technical workforce. So I just wanted to give a few key highlights. So in 2019, we were involved in the RITG 2019 event, and we had 14 of our technical staff attended the event, and it was a really good day. We all went on a bus early morning to London. Sophie Abel was selected as the technician to talk at that event, and it was a first to be able to give a talk like that, and she was mentored through the process and hopefully enjoyed it. And we've definitely had an increase in technical news, stories, blogs, and increased visibility. Our comms department are really clued up with this now, and if there's a paper out or there's an event happens, they ensure that all staff are represented on this. The Research and Support Staff Voice organise an accessible science event every year, which goes alongside the annual science meeting, and it's very well attended, and they also have a regular seminar programme. This year I was invited to give a talk at the Women in the Future event at Journalist Centre. This is an event for local schools to inspire women to go into science, and it was the first time that we'd highlighted technical careers at this event, and we created a technician commitment stand where several of our technicians stood there and spoke to the people attending the conference about technical roles. Communications have created us an excellent technician commitment video, so it's on YouTube if anybody wants to look at it. We were also involved in an equality, diversity, inclusivity report. This was a collaboration with the University of Nottingham, the Science Centre, University of Liverpool, and we provided the institute aspect to this, and this was published. This is a link to it. So looking forward a bit for 2020, 2021, we're currently trying to get an authorship policy agreed. Quite a large number of our technicians do get authorship on publication, and we're just trying to have a policy to show this. We've recently updated our career pathway booklet, and that should be released in the next month or so. It's looking a lot better. We were involved in the Changemaker Placement Programme, which is an EDI initiative giving opportunity for research and support staff that meet certain criteria to have placements at partner organisations. This was in collaboration with a large number of universities, led by the University of Nottingham. And we did have 4 technicians that were going on placements at different places, and we were going to host 4 technicians, I think. But unfortunately, that's one thing that's been put on hold a bit due to the current COVID-19 situation. So hopefully that we'll still be able to do that. So our assessment for our 2-year action plan is due in December 2020. So I'm quite busy collating evidence and impact of that. And I'll be talking at a GIC all meeting about that in November, I think. This is our previous action plan, but I'm looking for ideas to go into our next 36-month action plan, which I'll be submitting in December, and it will start in January 2021. Finally, one of the initiatives that's just been launched is recognition cards. And this was something that kind of came out of this group because SANA had some thank you recognition cards and they shared the information with us, and now we're implementing our own ones. So we're hoping this will be a way of saying thank you to people. So we're looking forward to seeing how that goes. And yeah, I've done quite a bit as well on sharing COVID safety practices. The Journalism Centre was one of the first institutes open, so I created a short video about showing the safety at that time, and I've been liaising with other universities about it in groups. So I think that's it from the John Innes Centre. So I'll move on now to introduce Liz Bentley from MRC, and she'll tell us what they've been doing. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. Hi, so I'm Liz Bentley. I'm a recently appointed manager of our new scientific training centre called Advance, and part of that role also includes being the lead for the technician commitment at MRC Harwell. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank my colleagues Mark Gardner, Martin Frey and Deborah Garney, who've been involved with leading the technician commitment initiative at Harwell over the last year. So MRC Harwell Institute comprises 3 centres. There's the Mary Lyon Centre, which is a national facility for providing services for the production and characterisation of mouse models of human disease. The Mammalian Genetics, which is a research institute that utilises these mouse models to further understand human genetic disorders. And finally, the Centre for Macaques, which is a primate breeding unit for rhesus macaques, and these are used in some areas of fundamental research. So across the Institute, we have around 300 staff, and around 70% of those positions are actually technical roles, and it's a wide range of technical roles from animal and phenotyping technicians to research technicians, engineering and maintenance, embryo and microinjection, glasswash, health and safety and pathology. So we have a wide range of technical roles on site. So Harwell signed up to the technicians commitment in February 2018, and our 24-month action plan was signed in May 2009. So as part of this action plan, a couple of the initiatives were around bringing together staff from across 3 MRC institutes, and these were the London Institute of Medical Sciences at Hammersmith, the Laboratory of Microbiology in Cambridge, and the Harwell site. So there have been inter-MRC technician symposiums across these 3 institutes. And this allows our technical staff to network with other technicians across the institutes, and also presents an opportunity for the technical staff to present their work, develop their confidence and communication skills, but also to celebrate the contribution that they as technicians make to research. And similarly with the MRC Managers Forum, it's an opportunity for core facility managers to get together, to share their expertise, their best practice, so ultimately to improve the quality and the efficiency and productivity towards a better science. It's also an opportunity to explore options for development, for mentoring and exchange schemes for managers and their teams. We have an active Technicians Voice Committee that was established in 2019. And this gives technicians from all teams and core facilities an opportunity to comment on our action plan, make new suggestions, and also to represent their teams. So the professional registration is continually being promoted at Harwell. I'm really proud to say that we have 98 people so far that have achieved professional registration. And there are opportunities in the coming months for more people to to achieve professional registration. So moving through 2020, obviously COVID have had a huge impact on our working lives here. And we were due to celebrate the Animal Technician Month in March, but that kind of got kiboshed due to lockdown. And I'd just like to say that our staff on site did an amazing job. We kept our animal facility and the majority of our research going during lockdown and beyond. And it's a real testament to our technicians' hard work and dedication that we managed to come through with this relatively unscathed in terms of, you know, our animal work and research. But it also meant that we would have been out having an MRC Harwell Technician Symposium here during September, and now we're looking to organise a virtual Technician Symposium in the coming months. So the other thing that also got delayed was the opening of our new training centre, Advance, which was due to open in June 2020. So if you want to, next slide, Claire. I'd just like to show you some pictures of the new facility. So this is a purpose-built training centre. It has purpose-built laboratories, an animal holding area, and a number of meeting and seminar rooms. So we go to the next slide, please. So this is, on the left is the central breakout area as you come into the building. And then there's a multifunctional meeting room called Piebald. And then there's three smaller meeting rooms, Guti, Albino and Caracal. And the next slide. So Calico is the main seminar room, and it's got a really lovely audio-visual system in place. And then we have our two laboratory spaces, Leaden and Saturn. These are equipped with downdraft tables, and they will be fully equipped laboratories. So the aim is that we'll be running training courses in laboratory animal techniques, mouse genetics, lab skills, and this will provide opportunities for our staff to not only partake in training courses, but hopefully also be able to develop and deliver their own training courses. So yeah, so we're hoping to open this in early next year, depending on COVID, but we will open and we will work it, I think. Anyway, so that's the update from Harwell. So now I'd like to hand over to Danielle Hoyle, who's at the Babraham Institute, for her update.
Right, thanks, Liz. So yeah, unlike JIC and MRC Harwell, we're really quite early in our technician commitment experience. So we became a signatory in December 2019, and since then we've just been doing a whole number of discovery activities to get a sense of which areas we need to focus on at the Institute. So the first thing we did was convene a steering group of really dedicated and enthusiastic people who represent their cohorts, and they have been consulting with the cohorts to try and identify key themes that we can follow up on and develop an action plan. So we're now at the point where we have a draft action plan, which will be discussed with HR to make sure it's you know, it's sensible and achievable, and this will be submitted in January, along with our self-assessment exercise. So at Babraham, we've decided that our cohort, in the first instance, includes people who work in our scientific services, which is what we call our core facilities. We also have representatives from the animal facility, computing, stores, health and safety, and technical services, and also lab-based research assistants and technicians. And the steering group also has representatives from HR and our equality and diversity group, communications, and then we also have a senior scientist on board as well. So they act as, that person acts as a sort of channel to our executive committee. So this first year has been, I think we've been quite lucky actually that we're in this discovery phase, because we actually haven't had to achieve anything from our action plan because we are still looking at what we're doing. So in terms of timing for COVID, it's been quite beneficial that, yeah, we're not too far down the plan. But the key challenges, I think, are everybody's time, especially my time, because this is just a fraction of my job. And another thing that I'm finding quite difficult is communication and how to target messages to our cohorts and those kinds of things. So these aren't insurmountable problems. They are just things that need to be thought about and dealt with. Really want to make sure that we're inclusive, but also not kind of annoying everybody with messages that they don't want to hear. So I'm sure people from the other organisations will be able to help with some advice on that. So, cheers, Claire. So in terms of our focus areas, these are the key things that we want to look at, and I've kind of mapped them onto the top of the technician commitment areas. So in terms of visibility, we've identified that we should make sure that our awards and prizes are more inclusive for everyone across the organisation, that there's stricter adherence to and awareness of our existing authorship and acknowledgement policies. Our cohorts suggested that feedback, either formal or informal, would be better if it was I guess more prompt, and so we were looking at ways to deal with that, and just ways that we can increase people's awareness of other people's skills and expertise, because I think a lot of people within our cohort are extremely well qualified, and what they do is brilliant. They almost make it look easy, and so we want people to be aware of the fact that they are actually incredibly skilled and talented. And how do we go about doing that? I don't know. One of the ways is to have, for example, a skills directory, so people can look up somebody who is an expert in X or Y, and then you can just go and find that person. So that's something we're developing. So Claire? We have raised the idea of professional registration through for registered scientists, and we're looking at how we can make sure that that is consistent with professional registration in other disciplines across the institute. So people, I guess, in finance teams and IT, possibly engineering, are already professionally registered. So making sure we have a consistent policy for that across the institute. And then in terms of sustainability, potentially doing a skills audit so we can see what skills we have and which areas we are lacking in, so we can help provide a kind of sustainable workforce at the institute, and ways that we can upskill people so that they can develop their own skill sets. Thanks, Claire. And then the final area, which is by far the biggest one that we've looked at, is around career development. So our staff want more information on how they progress through their roles, how they get rewarded for progression, and just increased clarity around training opportunities and promotion and pay awards. So those are the areas that are going into the action plan, and we are trying to currently look at making sure we have smart objectives in our action plan so we can actually deliver them. So that's where we're at Babraham, and I'm going to hand over to Celia at the ICR.
Thank you, Danielle. So let me just start by introducing myself. My name is Celia Domingues, and I am a research and development coordinator at the ICR. As Danielle just mentioned, I will do a little bit of an update of where the ICR is in terms of the technician commitment. So first, a bit about us. We are founding signatories of the technician commitment, so we did that in 2017. And we have a really strong history of supporting the scientific officers' careers at the ICR. So we have around 450 scientific officers at the ICR, and they really play a huge part in terms of the success of the scientific research that takes place at our institute. And so the Scientific Officer Association, which is a professional association, has existed since 2010, so since 10 years ago. And since then, the SOA has worked closely with Learning and Development, which is our team, to provide career development opportunities for technical careers. The SOA, as a professional association, has had many achievements since its start, including the annual technical conference that runs every year with an SOA Teamwork and Collaboration Award. The SOA prepares travel bursaries every year for scientific officers who want to gain expertise or in other areas or want to attend conferences. They organize a Lunch and Learn seminar series open to everyone in the institute who wants to attend, and this sort of alternates between technical seminars and career-themed seminars. And they are represented in many committees, from BAME to Equality and Diversity to Sustainability and some others. So since joining the Technician Commitment, we have been not only expanding on some of that work, but also starting new initiatives. So for example, we've had an internal Technician Commitment launching event with Kelly Via. So we invited her to come over and talk about the framework at the start. We organized the professional registration showcase with Stephen Franey from King's. He came and talked about the benefits of professional registration, and we had 4 different professional bodies present there. We have introduced new awards on the ICR Technical Conference, such as Best Talk and Best Poster awards. We have created the SOA Twitter account and the Scientific Officers LinkedIn account to allow more connectivity and networking possibilities. There has also been more visibility on internal ICR network, so a substantial number of articles with a focus on the scientific officers' work and Technician Commitment initiatives have been published in our internet. Also, in terms of establishing cross-institutional relationships, we had peers from the Crick, so the laboratory research scientists, attended the ICR Technical Conference in 2019. They came over, one of them gave a talk, and they participated in the judging of Best Talk and Best Poster. And it was really a great opportunity to not only showcase what we do, but also exchange knowledge and network with them. So with the RITG group, the cross-institutional group, we've been working together for 2 to 3 years now, and it's been a great partnership. I mean, we've been sort of joining forces to explore opportunities for activity development. As I think Claire mentioned in the beginning, we ran a dedicated conference last year in 2019 with technical staff from our 6 institutes. And the theme of that conference was career development for technicians. It was highly successful and we're very proud of that. We've done talks at the Royal Society on the occasion of the Technician Commitment Signatory event. And we've done talks at VITE, which is a conference for research and development community in the UK. To sort of raise awareness of what we do together. Claire, if we could move slide, thank you. So in terms of our action plan, our 2018-2020 action plan is published on our external website, so you're all welcome to have a look. We have a report due in December 2020, so coming up soon, containing the action plan for the next 3 years. Our scientific officers have been consulted to generate an action plan for 2020-2023. We had a consultation back in April, it was during lockdown actually, about what we wanted to see happening in the next 3 years. And then in terms of plans for the future, I mean, a significant part of the future action plan will be following up on work that has been carried out already, but also new things. So perhaps the most relevant things that we really want to implement is to form a technician commitment, ICR formal steering committee with more engagement with faculty and senior management. Because so far, technician commitment has mostly been led by the SOA and learning and development. So we also want to pilot the professional registration scheme, and we want to be able to obtain dedicated funding internally to run our initiatives. So with the RITG group, I mean, we find we benefit a lot from sharing ideas, from sharing suggestions, ways to do things. We've been joining forces to organize events that we wouldn't be able to do if we were doing it on our own. And also there's a richness that comes with that diversity and that sharing. So we want to run the subsequent conference RITG 2021, so that is in planning. And we have some ideas still in embryonic stage, but that we would like to explore in the future, such as organizing a placement scheme between our institutes, and also to create a dedicated award. So I think that's it from me. I hand it over now to David from the Crick.
Thank you very much. Hi everybody, hope you can hear me. My name's David Hudson. I'm a Crick Science Training Lead, part of the Research and Development Group in HR at the Crick. So for those who don't know, the Crick's a multidisciplinary biomedical research institute in King's Cross. We opened in 2015, largely from a merger between the MRC and NIMR and the Cancer Research UK Lincoln's Inn Fields laboratories. So we've got around 1,300 scientists in 120 labs. And out of these, the staff that we consider for the technician commitment is around 575, which is in the research labs, the core facilities, which we call science technology platforms, and the animal house, plus other support facilities, IT, engineering, and health and safety. The laboratory research scientists, which are the main research technical staff, formed a network a couple of years ago, and they do an awful lot of work. They arrange events and networking, and then they asked to create a sort of training and development working group with us in learning and development and with management. And that's the group that's been taking a lot of these initiatives forwards. And just thank them for all the work they've done. So the first thing we did was undertook a gap analysis with a working group to identify the needs. And if Claire could show me that. And this is quite similar to what Danielle showed, in that don't worry about not seeing. Basically, we just did a big sort of brain dump of all the ideas, all the things that the technical staff thought were important and wanted to move forward on. And then we looked at what was hard, what was easy, what was high impact, low impact, and we sort of picked off some sort of low-hanging fruit, and then really focused on what became projects moving forward for the future. And an enormous amount of these things have already been actioned on. And in the next section, I can tell you that one of the things was about access to training, which was more of a perception of people feeling they didn't have access to the same training as the postdocs or the students. So we made sure that as many courses as possible were open to technical staff, and especially the career development and management sort of areas, as well as the technical training. We send a weekly email out to all staff highlighting training opportunities, and I do that, and they go out separately to each of the different staff groups so we can really focus on what's important to them and highlight things such as this meeting in the technical one. We asked group leaders to ensure that they were going to allow time and resources for technical personal development wherever possible. And so that when we were promoting training, they should expect to be asked and then sort of give time. We sort of clarified that lab budgets could be used for technicians to attend meetings as well, because there was a little bit of resistance to that. And then we started quarterly science inductions for tech staff, because we realized that the postdocs we gave a quarterly induction to. The students came pretty much all in one go and have an annual one. But the technical staff were missing out on this, so we started to identify staff, because they were starting sort of ad hoc across the different labs. But as people started, they receive an email from us that tells them what's available for them now and what sort of different bits of training they could look at. But then we get an induction, and that has a talk from the Laboratory Research Scientists Network as well, to tell them about the network that they're joining. And then we also increase visibility on our intranet and news stories on the internet and in our annual reports, which is somewhere that we discovered the technical staff have been severely missing. Okay, thank you, Claire. On the next slide, I'll just run through some of our achievements. So these are things that were largely set out of what we would do in our first 2 years. And so the Crick's really lucky that we actually have a dedicated exhibition space and exhibition team. And so with the Gatsby Foundation, we created a Making It Happen craft and graft exhibition of highlighting the technical staff, sort of people working behind the scenes, as it were. We had the media kitchen, the cell services, but also some microscopy, engineering. And this was open for over a year. And we had over 20,000 attendees, many of them from local schools, parties coming in to see what it is, what a technical career was, and quite a major emphasis on it, saying, you can become a scientist without having to go through university PhD, if that's not necessarily the option you want to take. And we also featured our apprentices in this exhibition as well. And as you see, it was received very well in the press and had a lot of coverage in the One Show and different television things. So obviously we were involved in forming this group, and the Crick hosted the 2019 Symposium, which was really successful, and hopefully some of you came to that, and hopefully we can build on that in the future once situations allow us all to get back together again physically. We put forward an Athena Swan Bronze Award, which was awarded, and what was great is that those now include the technical staff data, so we could actually use that to analyze the breakdown and the gender balance, etc., of our technical staff and other EDI issues. And then professional registration we took on board, and I sort of run workshops and one-to-ones with people. It's quite a struggle. We haven't had a huge number, but we were awarded the Employer Champion status in February 2019 to show the fact that we do support financially and with encouragement and coaching to get people professionally registered. We set up a Crick Connect alumni and mentoring platform, and we've made sure that technicians are involved in that and have access to that and to mentoring as mentors as well as mentees. And then we had the laboratory technician apprentices that 6 ran through to 2019, and a new cohort have started, and that's gone really well. Two of the new starters who did the apprentices are now fully fledged members of our cell services STP, and the apprentice advisory team, supervisory team, which was largely LRS staff, was recognised by a Crick Award in December as part of creating future leaders. And the LRS network ran a staff survey. They ran one in 2018. They ran one recently, and that's great. And it showed an increase in access to training opportunities, that people really feel they are getting good opportunities, and that's great to see as a good success from this. And then we've created this year, under lockdown, a technician commitment steering group, including IT and engineering reps across, and we have to create a new action plan in December, and it's sort of my bad that we haven't actually got that really moving as we've been in lockdown. So just a couple of pictures to show our sort of visibility. These are pictures that we've had splashed over our internet. So this was the launch of the exhibition. We had the Science Council come to award the staff that had become professionally registered, to award their certificates to them, and then I was awarded the Employer Champion, which is great. This is an apprentice graduation ceremony for 4 of our apprentices, and on the next slide you can see one of them, Lucia, actually on the side of a London bus advertising the apprenticeship scheme through the local college. And then this is our steering group, and I'd like to thank them if any of them are watching, and thank you very much. And now I can hand over to Burju, who will give you the last summary from the Sanger.
Thank you, David. Hi again, this is Burcu from Sanger Institute. I'm Technician Commitment Manager, but I worked more than 20 years as a research technician in my previous roles, and I'm on this role only from November. So as Claire mentioned, actually we are very privileged at Sanger Institute because I think, as far as I know, I'm the only one who has a full-time job as a technician commitment representative. So I would just like to go through a very short introduction to who we are at Sanger Institute. So in the Institute, I'm representing more than 500 technicians or technical experts. These 500 people actually divided into 6 different categories. As you can see, it doesn't only include research assistants who associate themselves with a word technician, but we have also informatics and IT in our list. As Sanger Institute, we became a signatory to the initiative on 2018 March, and we are planning to submit our 2-year action plan and further 3-year plan in next year, May. We have quite a structured approach because of the position that I actually fill in the Institute. This is the way we work at Sanger. We have an operations board where we report regularly on top. And then we have a technician commitment steering committee which meets monthly with the agenda, with minutes. And then we have working groups actually where all the work is done. And the chairs of these working groups work independently and feed into the technician commitment steering committee. And I would like to share with you our technician commitment team currently at the Institute. We are very lucky that I think around more than 20 people actually is part of this initiative. And I would like to thank them on your behalf. On the next slide, you will see our update from September 2020. As I mentioned, we became a signatory in 2018. And this is what we have been achieving. Of course, first of all, for visibility and recognition, creation of this technician commitment manager post is very important to mention, and we have a dedicated technician commitment budget. I have been giving lots of talks at different committees, group meetings with our technician commitment members to increase the visibility internally. We are looking in recognition, we are working on a new guidance for managers at Sanger Institute, which we will share in the coming months with our managers on how to value technical staff. We have a very strong communication team. We have 2 monthly newsletters. We have a text at Sanger mailing list, which actually has that names of more than 500 people in the Institute. And we are holding this technician commitment virtual coffee mornings. Actually, in one of them, we hosted Kelly Veer from Program Director of Technician Commitment. We are showcasing our technical staff internally and externally. A new staff award was introduced by our public engagement under the name of Technical Staff Award this year. I had a chance to meet with Matt Hancock before lockdown to increase the visibility of technician commitment, and I had a chance to have a short chat with him. And I would like to also mention that our engagement is not limited only to current Sanger staff, but recently we had 2 new Sanger staff actually joined the Institute, and it was great to see one of them was already involved in Leicester and wanted to be part of this, and also another new member directly wanted to be involved. So that's great to see that visibility. In terms of career development and sustainability, we have a very big project going on at the moment, which is a development of a career framework, a new career framework at Sanger. I think it will be part of our 3-year plan, but we, I think, achieved a lot on that direction. We, as technician commitment, either directly created policies, 3 different policies, or actually initiated those policies, and they are all in use at the moment. We are also very passionate about training courses and training guidelines. We have a strong group of technician commitment members working on this. And we have apprenticeships going on in the Institute, and we also created a technician commitment grant, and which has been used quite a lot recently, actually. And as a last, may I ask the next one, Claire? And just to mention, of course, it's great to do all this work, but it's very important to assess the impact of all the work we are doing. So we sent this survey in February, and which actually not only gave us where we need to be actually focusing on, like career development.
No, I'm good.
Training, but also it will give us a baseline for our submission next May. With this, I would like to thank you all, and I will leave the word to Daniela. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everyone for your updates. We're slightly behind time, but not too far. I think about 10 minutes off schedule, but the plan now is to just, we're going to split into breakout rooms, each one facilitated by one of the 6 institute leads, and we are just going to use it as an opportunity to find out what you want from this group of people. So we have put together a few questions just so there's a bit of standardization across the groups, but effectively it's your opportunity to tell us what you want from the group. So I don't know the logistics of how we get put into groups. I think it's magic or something, but we're going to have about 20 minutes.
I will open the, Danielle, I will open the breakout rooms now. Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you so
about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and we will have a feedback from each group. All right, thanks. So I'm going to ask the leads from each of the groups just to give a bit of feedback about what went on in their group, but also please feel free to use the chat function. So if you've got contributions you want to make to the group, that would be brilliant, because we can then we can all benefit from that. So David, you're top left on my screen, so go first.
Oh, okay, that's embarrassing, because we sort of, by the time we'd introduced ourselves and then had a little chat, we didn't really attack any of these questions particularly, but we did have a really interesting conversation. What really impressed me was the level, when we went through what everyone was doing, was if you like, the level of senior engagement, of highly qualified people really engaging with the technician commitment, and I think that's brilliant. And hopefully we can maintain that. We had a feeling that people really did enjoy and support the values of the technician commitment, that it was there, that it was doing a great job, and so these initiatives that everyone was showing was just great. And so I think maybe it's the sharing part of the institutes being together that's come through strongest. And then I'm afraid we had a discussion about the professional registration and how people could maintain it in the future, which was not on our remit at all, but was quite interesting and could be, I think, a good topic for us. Maybe it is a good thing to say that one of the things we can get out of the RITG is more support for people for professional registration, and how we, instead of having lots of individual meetings, to try and pull people together and share best practice and support. Okay, well that was our chat.
Good. Thank you, David. Does anybody have anything they want to pick up on what David's just said? Any question for David or anyone in that group who wants to add anything? Don't know how this works. Raise your hand or something. I'll be able to see that.
I can add maybe. I think this is a great idea, because professional registration, I think, is really a challenging part for us at Sanger. And it needs some effort, and I think it needs some, we need to collaborate on this. So it would be great to maybe make a collaborative effort on this. So help us each other, kind of mentoring each other with that issues. I know that Science Council is providing some support, but I think it might be a good idea to discuss this on our next meeting.
And Harwell certainly are streets ahead. I mean, they've done a great job. Tertius, who is part of this original group, has driven some great, we saw some numbers there. I mean, way higher than any of us else have managed to do. But one of the queries, sorry, was just how do we keep people registering, maintain their enthusiasm for keeping up with their registration?
Yeah, I think, sorry, can I just intercept here, because I've taken over from Tertius after he left the professional registration. In July, we registered 20 new people just in July.
Wow.
Yeah, but that's thanks to the system he put in place of actually champions around the site that will encourage people. So we can certainly, from that side of things, which was one of my suggestions in our breakout room, on that side of things, we can certainly help, because we've had great success in getting people registered by establishing a network of support. So yeah, please do use us as kind of little stepping stone, because we can certainly help. Tertius really did a good job at putting together the system. So
thank you. Thank you, Deborah.
Okay, Celia, do you want to go next?
I was actually not facilitating the breakout room. I was in the background managing the breakout rooms and getting in and out of the rooms to make sure everything was okay. So we'll pass to the next one.
Yeah, I'll pass to Claire then.
Okay, so we had introductions in our group. And some of the key things I wrote down to feedback were, we discussed the next RITS conference that was due to be in May. And I think the general consensus was that people wanted it to happen, but maybe the autumn would be best, and to try for it to be in person in the autumn, obviously if guidelines allow that, but think that we should still definitely hold something in May, probably virtually, perhaps smaller, to see what happens. We had a question from Nick from UKRI about how would UKRI reach technicians in the workplace. So we discussed that a little bit, and the consensus was that maybe it might be best reaching out to technician commitment leads that could disseminate it to the right person, rather than it getting lost in higher management. So interesting enough for the people, what other people think about that. But hopefully within each institute, that would be a good person to contact to then be able to understand their technical workforce. We had a comment from Mel from Newcastle about, one of the questions was about what your best initiative was, and he spoke about they had a TechNet event held quarterly, which enabled all their technicians to get together and practice giving talks and at seminars, and that really, he thought that was one of their most positive things that had happened. And then we discussed about how how people would like to hear from this RITG group, and people commented that they liked the Twitter account. The LinkedIn wasn't used, but a few people would start to look at it now. And one thing I kind of suggested, which seemed quite popular, was that I thought perhaps we should have a joint newsletter that went out with some of the things we were doing. We have a Trello board, so it'll be quite easy for us to pull that together, I think. And then at least new starters would at least have heard of our group. So that's maybe something we can discuss at our next committee meeting to see if that's possible. So I think that's feedback from my group. Does anybody else want to add anything that was in the group?
Can't see anything or any hands. Thank you, Claire. Okay, Burju?
First of all, I think time was very limited. I think that was a good lesson. Next time, maybe we can increase that time a little, because while I was explaining the question, we lost a lot of time with introduction. So I think it would be great to increase that time, because there was definitely potential, I think. So we had quite a nice group, a lot of Sanger colleagues of mine from our steering committee, but we have also people from Johnniness, Babraham, even people start joining us from the lab from Babraham. We had MRC people as well, so it was a nice mix. So the thing that was raised during the meeting was we should learn from each other as institutes during these collaborations, because that of course provides a unique opportunity for all of us. And in linking that, Frank mentioned actually training can be somewhere we can also look as institutional effort, because at Sanger, for example, we are planning to have this videos for trainings, and of course we can collaborate between different institutes, I think, to share this effort. That was one of the questions we could include. And then I asked, what was the best initiative from your institutes? Technician commitment grant from Sanger was raised, which actually is sometimes used for professional membership as well. And then MRC, of course, as we heard from Deborah, that is very strong on professional registration, so they are very proud on that. So it would be great to have their expertise for us. And then we talked about how to communicate best. There were no suggestions, but Twitter at the moment seems the best way to communicate. Whether we could have a page I raised that question, but then it needs maintenance, and it is a lot of admin, I can tell you that, because I do that at Sanger. I involve in this. And then I kind of suggested, we didn't have time to discuss what to do next time, but I saw some noddings around. I said, how about having this kind of setting, maybe with different content, in another 3 months' time? So we don't, because we can accommodate a lot of people like this, I think. So we can use this opportunity. I think face-to-face meetings we don't know what will happen. So my suggestion personally would be to repeat that event maybe somewhere in December or January, and come together again and have a bit more networking opportunity, a longer breakout rooms. I think that would be my suggestion. Did I miss anything else from our group? But as I said, time was very limited, unfortunately. We need to increase that next time.
No, it doesn't look like there's any questions. Thanks. Liz, there you are.
Hi, so again, we had a really nice mix of people in our group. So we had MRC Harwell people, LMB, Babraham and Sanger. I think the main thing that came out of, you know, these sort of meetings was actually the sharing of experience. So seeing what other institutes are doing in terms of their technical commitment initiatives. And in particular, the professional registration was highlighted for Harwell as one of the best things that's come out of this initiative. And obviously it's something that we're very happy to share with you all. Jeremy from Harwell also raised mentoring as something that is actually, you know, very important, especially with people working remotely. So I think we maybe, you know, looking around initiatives of how we increase the opportunity for people to have mentors or become mentees. I think that would be really important. We had discussions around, so Matthew from the Sanger, who's an IT-based person, was struggling to see where an IT person might fit into this kind of technician's commitment. So I think maybe we should, you know, we may be focusing on, you know, our laboratory staff and animal staff, where, you know, so maybe we need to be looking at that as, you know, raising that kind of visibility for, you know, what an IT person might get out of being part of a technician's commitment. And Darren at the LMB was talking around, you know, how do we raise the profile of animal techs in terms of, you know, their visibility and showing what, you know, what impact their work has globally, rather than just, you know, like scientists kind of taking all the praise sort of thing. So I think initiatives around, you know, how can we do that, raise people's profiles. And then we just talked about, we didn't talk about communication, we kind of ran out of time, but I think generally I think the group was happy with the online format. Obviously it'd be lovely to get together, but I think everybody was quite positive about, you know, joining another online event. I think that was everything for the group. Is there anything I missed from our group, guys? Okay, that's it.
No, thanks, Liz. Okay, so I'll just give you an overview of our group. So we had, it's quite Sanger heavy, but we also had some people from the MRC LMB and the can't remember, my brain's just gone, the LMS in London, and also we had Sarah from the NTDC. And so the things, sort of major benefits of having the RIT group was the networking opportunity, and to bring, like, the opportunity to bring things to the attention of commitment of technicians that you might not previously have been aware of. So it's an opportunity to share information and communicate with each other. Particularly, we talked around CPD activities, so good training opportunities. And so some of the ways we thought we could do that was either by having more frequent shorter meetings, which I think is what Virgil was alluding to, or more like focused scientific opportunities. So you could have sort of all the people who work in imaging or something could just get together as a sort of subgroup and actually share more kind of specific knowledge between them. So it just helps, as well as sort of a general technician community, it helps build those discipline networks as well. So the benefits of having the technician commitment established at Sangha is that they thought it was very good that different people from different areas of the organisation became more familiar with each other, because it's such a big organisation. It facilitated that, but it was just, they were very pleased with the fact that there is a high level of awareness and visibility of technicians at Sangha through the work that's been done, and that it's very well promoted. So that's, rather than like one key kind of benefit, it was more of a sort of, it's become embedded within the culture at Sangha. And then I think we talked, and happily, there was an awareness from everyone in the group of what of the RITS group and what we were trying to achieve. So that was very nice. So that is from us. I'm just checking to see if I've missed anything in the chats. Emma, do you want to speak, or do you want me to read out your comment? Okay, so this is from Emma Rush. So she just wanted, so I'm just going to read it out. So I was going to suggest that we have an inter-institute meetings for technician voice committees. So Emma chairs the MRC Harwell meetings, and it would be good if different institutes could meet and discuss how that would help benefit each other. So not sure, Emma, if you want to elaborate on that a bit more, because I'm not sure I did a very good job of explaining that.
Yeah, sorry, I probably didn't explain myself too well. So kind of like we're doing this meeting today, but each institute's technician voice committee, or whatever they call their version of that, meet. Because when we started, we had a lot of changeover. You know, we lost Tertius, who started the whole thing at MRC Harwell, and we as technicians didn't have the experience of chairing a meeting or taking minutes for a meeting, or how to direct and guide it to get the best out of it. So I think as a kind of fledgling group, we would have benefited from a more experienced technician voice committee group to give us some guidance and share ideas and see what, you know, another institute had already implemented, perhaps, to give us some ideas, to generate ideas at Harwell. That's about it.
Would that be an option, maybe, to have host us in your, for example, organization as a RIT group, so that it's a specific event maybe for yours? Because as RIT group representatives, we meet every month, so we have this collaboration at the moment, but I think you are more thinking about a bit more institute specific kind of guidance, you know, what we are doing in our institutes and how we can help you, something like that. So that's the only thing on my mind. So I think we would be happy to come and talk to you, and not specifically to your institute maybe. So that might be an option, I think.
Yeah, that's something actually I wrote down, that we have someone from the RITS come and, well, or virtually come and speak to our group, just to give us some guidance and ideas.
Yeah, definitely. That's perfect. I also see something else from Sarah. Sarah is from NTDC, and she just thanks us for the opportunity and happy to discuss what NTDC can support further engaging technical skills survey with anyone. So it is on the chat option. So there is clearly a survey over there. Oh yeah, no, there is a support for running a technical skills survey with anyone, they are suggesting, so that we will definitely keep that in mind, I think. Thank you, Sarah.
Sarah, do you have, sorry, Sarah, do you have anything else you wanted to add before? Oh, we've only got a few minutes left.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was just to get in touch with anybody, because obviously people have mentioned it in their action plans as part of, you know, a skills audit or a skills survey, and just, yeah, just to get in touch for a chat on kind of what we've been doing. If that can help anybody, then please do, yeah, get in touch.
Thank you very much. Can I also add one more thing? Maybe some of you seen my Twitter account already, but I asked whether we have a research technician day, a dedicated day for us. And I'm not sure it exists, but I would like to really open this to an discussion in, not now specifically, but I think especially now, a lot of technical stuff involving in this COVID period as well. I think it's really great time maybe to push this. I'm not sure how to mention that, where to go. Probably Kelly, if she's still with us, I'm not sure, might give us some ideas, but this is something maybe as technician commitment push on and bring it to a national level. So it should be possible, I presume, but if there are any suggestions, that's just an idea.
I'm still with you, by the way. I'm still here. Sorry.
Great. Hi, Kelly. Thank you.
I was just going to mention, we talked about this at Gatsby actually, with the sort of sister project of the technician commitment, which is Technicians Make It Happen, which hopefully you're familiar with. The tricky thing for us, I guess, is that every day is a technician day, so we don't want to pin it down to a day. But I do think you might have seen, like, recently, I think the N8 were very heavily involved in this. There was a postdoc week, or this focused months on, like, animal technicians, for example, or there's bits and pieces like that. So I guess I would say, we need to give it some more thought. I wouldn't suggest one single day. I think it needs to be a month or a week with some focused activity, maybe around the key things of the technician commitment. But we'll discuss it further. We just don't want that to be the only time we talk about technicians, not the rest of the year. So I think it's a great idea, but yeah, let's think about that some more and see how we can really push it and give that focus to organisations.
Thank you very much, Kaylee. Thanks for joining us. It's really great to see you. I totally agree. I think we should do even more days. Why not?
I have one question for Kelly before she leaves that just came up. It came out of the thing about how UKRI might get in touch with us. Do technician commitment leads have some sort of equivalent of a JISC mail distribution list, so we all just get, like, it, you know, a single com goes to the head, to the lead at each organisation?
We have a mailing list which we hold at the technician commitment. Obviously, like, hopefully the leads will get the technician commitment newsletters and updates and things. We don't have a disc list set up for everyone to contact each other. Now, that is something we could set up. We just have to ask your permission, you know, with GDPR and so forth, but we could absolutely look into that if leads felt that that would be helpful.
I think it might be a good way of just sharing stuff between us.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that away. Cheers, Danielle.
Thanks, Kelly. Right. Oh, sorry. It's just anyone else had anything they wanted to raise?
I just had one thing, which was, we mentioned a couple of times that Burju is the only person who's full-time working on this, and I wanted to say that that's because we're jealous. It's not because we think it's not fair. But I really think it would be really good if we can find a way to encourage our institutes to actually take it seriously enough to provide this extra manpower, because all of us are doing this sort of as part of varied jobs, either as active scientists or as researcher developers and part of HR or part of different groups. So it'd be really good somehow if we could. I mean, Sanger also have an apprentice lead as well, which is something else that I do as part of my many jobs. And you just can't do any of them properly without really get the right resource or Claire's energy. But that's my bit anyway.
No, I agree as well, David.
I think that's something I'm quite passionate actually as a full-time technician commitment person. I think that's something I was planning to talk to Kelly anyway. I think whether Science Council can give guidance to organizations and kind of suggest this when organizations maybe register or further once they submit their action plan as a kind of guidance. I think that would really require a bit high level introduction, I think.
Right, well, if nobody else has anything else to say, I guess on behalf of everybody in the group, I'd just like to thank you for participating today, and hopefully you got an awful lot out of it, and we should see you again within the next couple of months. We'll try and put something together and get back to you all. So thank you and take care, everybody.